Good morning, everyone, on this Thursday, summer vacation time. We are May 1st, hard to believe.
Yeah, I know, May 1st already. Almost, I want to say halfway through the year. Almost, not really, but...
like I was saying before the show started, it's hard to believe that it's May. It felt like yesterday was January.
It did.
Before you know it, we'll be through the middle of summer.
Oh, I thought
was
you were
not saying.
Okay, I was like, you go straight to like
But,
holidays.
you know, Mariah Carey will thaw out one day before you know it. Waking up, we are still holding on to some of that showery weather across South Central. Most of that activity remains out towards coastal regions. Inland locations will still hold on to that potential for some showery weather throughout the day, but today will provide a lot drier conditions to be expected. We may still hold on to some drizzle, if not some sprinkle activity. 40 degrees is where we're currently sitting at. We are going to see temperatures today nosing their way into the low to mid 50s across South Central, as we are expected to see somewhat drier conditions, and that's what we're seeing for inland areas. Even some clouds beginning to clear out. You can see Talkeetna, clear skies, Palmer, mostly clear conditions. And we're still holding on to some of that scattered potential across western parts of South Central, while Prince William Sound will still see that potential for up to, if not more than, an inch of rainfall throughout the remainder of today. So that rain shower still staying with us as we continue our that's wet weather pattern. We ended April as the 5th wettest on record, and we are continuing to hold on to these wet conditions as we welcome in the next couple of days. Now, looking at that forecast total, while we are holding on to the rainfall potential, notice inland areas and western parts of South Central will see significantly less rainfall through the close of this week into the weekend. We're talking about the potential for anywhere from a few hundredths of an inch of rain to nearly half an inch out towards Kenai. Still expecting to see several inches through Prince William Sound from today on into the weekend. So be prepared for that if you have any plans heading south for the weekend, as you are going to see those showers staying with us. Drizzle conditions looking possible for Anchorage and inland areas. Will likely stay on the dry side for most locations, but more rain is possible into our Friday. I'll have more on that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
It's about the huge impacts that this will have for our youth in this state, especially as we're facing a behavioral health crisis. And we've been in this crisis for many years now. I don't want people to die because we're not funding services adequately.
Today, that warning is loud and clear. Providence Hospital is making a move that has stunned families and mental health advocates statewide. The Crisis Recovery Center, or CRC, is set to close in just a few weeks.
The facility has been a critical safety net for young Alaskans in crisis, and now that net is vanishing. State Representative Genevieve Mina says she was blindsided and believes young lives are now at greater risk.
And we have been trying to fight tooth and nail to increase funding for behavioral health services, because we know that if we don't, more kids and more Alaskans are going to suffer. And we have the highest rates of youth suicides in the nation and the second highest rates of suicide for adults.
This top story, those numbers aren't just statistics, they're a warning. The latest CDC data confirms it. Alaska has the highest suicide rate in the nation, and the CRC is one of the only places where young people in mental health crisis can go.
Providence says a crucial grant was pulled without notice. It's especially troubling in what, as they tell our Olivia Nordyke, is an already difficult healthcare landscape.
There are going to be kids who kill themselves because they can't get into a bed.
It's a shocking phrase to hear, but it's one some legislators and behavioral health professionals are repeating.
My understanding is that there are not enough beds in the state for this particular population right now. Some of them might be absorbed into other programs, but more likely, many of them will end up in the ER. Some of them will end up on the street. And some number, perhaps not people currently in treatment, but some number of people in the next couple of years are going to die by suicide because of these DOGE cuts.
In response to Providence Medical Center closing their crisis recovery center. While located in Anchorage, the CRC serves the whole of Alaska in providing care for 12 to 18-year-olds who are suicidal or in a mental health crisis. Providence says they'll shut their doors on May 16th, just over 2 weeks after CRC employees were informed of the imminent closure.
This is an incredibly inefficient way to try to save money. They're not saving money. They are costing us money, and they're harming Alaskans.
According to a spokesperson with Providence, their funding became unsustainable after a, quote, abrupt cancellation of a grant of just over $1 million. Providence confirmed the cut was not due to a legislative budget decision. While the money is dispersed by the state of Alaska, it comes from federal funding. Senator Forrest Dunbar, a member of the Senate Health and Social Services Committee, says the cuts are discretionary decisions made by the Trump administration.
This is sort of leftover federal money from COVID, but it has been rolled over several times. These are grant programs that were expected, that were already awarded, that in some cases were already partially spent. This is part of a broader strategy of federal cuts to healthcare spending that is extremely harmful to Alaska.
Candace Siciliano, a licensed professional counselor, says without places like the CRC specifically for teenage Alaskans, there are few places for youth and mental health crises anywhere within the state.
They apparently haven't looked at the statistics of suicides for the state of Alaska, and they didn't talk to the mental health community and what we need for our kids. There had been a whole initiative to bring our kids home from residential treatments out in the lower 48 because the care is better if they can do it here where they have their families. And this is moving very much in the opposite direction of bringing that care here and having it here.
Olivia Nordyke, Alaska's news source.
And if you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, help is available right now. The Suicide and Crisis Lifeline takes calls and texts in English and Spanish 24 hours a day. Just dial 988.
The pilot initiated a go-around. There was also another company airplane behind. He was talking to that airplane at the same time, said he was initiating a go-around, made a right turn away from the runway, pretty steep climb, and unfortunately, there was a loss of control.
Today, investigators are working to understand what went wrong in the moments before a deadly plane crash in Nanwalek. A loose dog on the runway may have triggered a deadly chain of events. The NTSB believes the pilot tried to avoid the animal by initiating a go-around, but lost control of the plane. Now, this is video of the same Smoky Bay Air Cessna taken weeks before the crash in Nanwalek. The pilot in that footage, Daniel Bunker, died Monday, along with passenger Jenny Irene Miller. The video shows just how tight and challenging landings can be on remote Alaskan runways. Veteran pilot and former state senator Con Bundy says those conditions test even the most experienced flyers.
The rural airstrips are uncontrolled. They're mainly not fenced or anything like that. So it is really pilot's discretion whether to land or not, and last-minute things can happen.
At just 850 feet, the Nanwalek runway is short and frequently damaged by coastal storms. The Department of Transportation says there are plans to relocate the airport, but that move is still years away. Turning now to Capitol coverage, today House Bill 57 is one step closer to becoming law. The education bill includes a $700 boost to the Base Student Allocation and cleared both chambers of the legislature Wednesday. After a drafting error sent it back to the Senate, lawmakers approved it again, this time with a vote of 17-3. The House followed with final approval, and now the bill heads to the governor's desk.
It is not perfect. I don't think I've seen a perfect piece of policy come across my desk yet, but I've seen really good steps in the right direction, and that is what HB 57 signifies. HB 57 signifies hope. It gives hope to our teachers, it gives hopes to our communities, it gives hope to the future of Alaska.
There is a ton of policy in here that was not here last year. It's policies that have never, ever been adopted, that we have an opportunity to adopt today.
The House agreed to the Senate's version of the bill, passing it 31-8, sending it to the governor. From here, the bill can be signed into law, left to become law without a signature, or vetoed. If the governor issues a veto, lawmakers will need 40 votes to override. So far, there are 48 in favor between the House and Senate. Time is running out if you still haven't secured your real ID.
After years of pushing it back, the Department of Homeland Security is set to enforce the May 7th deadline. In just a week, airport security will enforce the federal deadline. Without a real ID or passport, you could face extra screening or be turned away. The law was passed in 2005 to tighten ID requirements after 9/11. And once you get your real ID, it's the season to start planning those summer vacations. Coming up, see how AI is making planning faster and easier. From custom itineraries to smarter bookings, learn the tools doing the work for you.
And a burst of green is about to sweep through Fairbanks, and scientists are watching closely how a sudden shift in color marks the start of Alaska's spring surge.
We're also seeing some budding here across South Central, but showery weather remains with us. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast before the sunrise. 5:49 in Anchorage, 5:05 in Juneau. The full forecast is next.
Welcome back on this Thursday. Green up season is about to hit most of our state.
Yeah, it is the moment when spring arrives all at once and the boreal forest burst into color practically overnight.
It gives me hope that there's just an explosion of activity and mating and all these things that are happening. It has to happen in a short amount of time.
Researchers in Fairbanks have been tracking green up for 50 years and say it usually hits around May 8th. It depends, though, on temperatures, snowmelt, and sunlight, and is marked when Chena Ridge suddenly turns green, sometimes in just a single day.
It's not infrequent that Chena Ridge will be brown in the morning, and then by late afternoon, it's all green, and so we have high confidence. But even, people might disagree a day or two sometimes. But all in all, it's pretty clean. But it is based on the human eye and somebody's estimate of, yep, the hill's green.
This year, researchers expect green up to hit between May 8th and 10th. With that burst of growth comes a burst of pollen, marking the start of allergy season.
I'm ready for some green up and some nice color in the, outside.
Yeah, things have been looking pretty great lately, Aaron.
It's quite nice, though, when you get outdoors and see some of those trees beginning to bud, but we are seeing those rain showers remaining with us. In fact, the outlook over the next week to week and a half continues to favor the Gulf Coast region will continue to hold on to this unsettled weather with more rain to be expected. Now, along the slope out towards the northwest Arctic borough, not expecting much in the way of precipitation. Bigger concern for you the next couple of days will continue to remain with those breezy conditions that we've seen for quite some time now with those winds out of the northeast. Here across South Central, those showers remain. Now, inland areas, we may see some drizzle for the first part of the day into the evening. That's where we'll see that better chance for that rain to spread back for inland locations, which will carry us into our Friday. And waking up this morning, you can see several low-pressure systems from southwest Alaska as well as through the Gulf of Alaska that's keeping rain for both South Central and Southeast. We're talking about several inches of rainfall looking possible today for parts of Southeast. We've got some of this spotty to isolated activity that will continue out towards southwest Alaska. Those showery weather conditions will stay with us through the day, but we're only going to see some of that hit or miss activity that will be with us for a couple of hours at times. As far as what we're seeing out towards the Aleutians, another area of low pressure will begin to approach the western and central Aleutians through the day. Now, due to the nature of that northerly flow that we've been seeing for areas out west, this is going to keep temperatures on the cooler side, so we'll likely see snow, if not a rain-snow mix for the Aleutians as we continue to head through the remainder of today. Looking ahead through the rest of this week on into the weekend, there it is. You can see that unsettled weather remaining with us. Daily rainfall chances continue to impact both South Central and Southeast. We're also expecting later tonight into your Friday, which will carry on into Saturday, rain and snow expected to build into the interior. Of course, we'll break that down for you coming up in the next forecast. But for today across South Central, we are expecting to see those temperatures warming back into the upper 40s and lower 50s. Could even see some mid-50s through the valley today where we are expected to see those dry conditions. But some showers will be possible, but largely expecting those dry conditions. And you can see beyond today, we kind of do taper off for inland areas, but we're going to see most of that activity for coastal regions. But we will still see some isolated showers for inland locations through the weekend and into next week. So we'll be watching for that. Temperature-wise, we're warming into the 40s, if not lower 50s across the Kenai out towards Kodiak. You can see some breezy conditions possible. Moderate to heavy rain continues through Prince William Sound out towards Whittier. We can see several inches between today and Saturday. 52 degrees in Golcana. The valley, there it is, warming into the mid-50s later this afternoon. Could we see some peaks of sunshine? The better chance will be into the valley, as elsewhere across South Central, we're still holding on to those mostly cloudy to overcast skies. 51 in Anchorage with a chance for some drizzle, better chance for rain along the Turnagain Arm out towards Girdwood. You can see daily highs sitting right around that 50-degree mark. Nice weekend. We'll see some stretch of some sunshine with us, but keep in mind we'll still see some of that spotty to isolated activity. For inland areas for Cinco de Mayo, dry conditions expected for the most part, 53 degrees, and you can see that stretch of 50s staying with us.
Hey, I forgot about Cinco de Mayo.
I forgot about that, yeah. Thanks, Aaron.
A life for Alaska's small businesses is at risk after losing federal funding.
The Anchorage Community Land Trust says its support programs may be cut off, leaving local entrepreneurs to navigate that road alone. Georgina Fernandez has more.
And these little doilies, they cost a fortune, but they're very important to have.
If there is one thing that Eva Perry knows,
they are my babies.
It's her way around a cupcake.
We will have chocolate because there are a lot of chocolate lovers out there.
In the sweet tooth industry that she has spent the last 13 years cultivating here in Mountain View.
We took our retirement, our savings, and felt that it was our time.
Taking their savings and Eva's childhood passion.
But when I was about 9 years old, my mom gave me Easy Bake Oven.
And moving it.
They come from the oven to here.
Into an actual kitchen.
When God gives a vision, He will make the provisions.
One of those provisions for her coming in the form of the Anchorage Community Land Trust, a nonprofit focusing on small business development.
When I was wanting to, do an addition, it's when they came in with some financial support and also just publicity.
But people who are looking for that kind of help in the future may not get it after the ACLT lost federal funding this month.
Essentially what that termination does is cut off at the knees our support programs for small businesses and entrepreneurs, folks who are working towards opening the business of their dreams in their neighborhood.
Making it now, the nonprofit says, harder for small businesses to thrive in Alaska and potentially impacting the local economy.
It's a harder environment, it's a harder road. It's a harder road on every front.
And while ACLT says its program is now in jeopardy, Perry is holding on to faith.
Based on what the organization stands for, when one door closes, another door will open.
That the faith and support that got her here.
In some way, their business will survive.
Will also pave a way for ACLT. Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.